He witnessed Miss Heard calling Mr. Depp names. Fat ass.
We are going to be watching Emily Dees Baker coverage in the background because she is the one. Camille is currently doing her closing arguments and she's going in already. I am going to do my skincare while we listen to this. And then we're going to have a chat as we go on. So this is a get ready with me. So get ready.
Fucking dead dad. Miss Heard would take the low blows and hit him where it hurts. His children. Mr. McGivern told you that on March 23rd, 2015, Miss Heard threw things at Mr. Depp, spat at him, and ultimately punched him in the face, leaving him with a shiner.
Chef's kiss.
You heard testimony from Malcolm Connolly, another security member, who testified he saw Miss Heard throw Mr. Depp, a cigarette lighter on a plane, a soda can from upstairs at the Eastern Columbia building. He never saw marks on Miss Heard, but he saw marks on Mr. Depp. Scratches, bruises on his left eye, scratches on his left ear. And he took pictures documenting injuries like this one.
Everybody works on closing, I think, in this team. Depp's team has worked really well together.
You also heard from Tara Roberts, a manager at Mr. Depp's Island, who witnessed Miss Heard telling Mr. Depp that he was washed up and would die fat and lonely. You also heard from Miss Roberts that she witnessed Miss Heard clawing and grabbing at Mr. Depp, grabbing his hair, trying to pull him back to her. And Mr. Depp had a visible injury to his nose on that occasion. Most importantly, you heard from Miss Heard yourselves on multiple audio recordings, admitting to being physically violent with Mr. Depp.
Remind them of the
You heard Miss Heard admit to hitting Mr. Depp.
And then you fucking clock.
I remember hitting you as a response to the door thing.
good use of audio.
Sorry about hitting you with the door, but hitting your head. I did not mean to, nor.
You didn't mean to hit me in the head with the door, but you meant to punch me in the jaw.
I meant to hit you, and I did not do this thing with the door. I do remember. I did mean to hit you.
So that you didn't mean.
The door? No, God, no. I
For punching me in the jaw.
I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. I hit you. I did mean to hit you, but it was in response. I just reacted in response to my foot. I just reacted.
You heard her admit it again and claim Mr. Depp was a baby for complaining about the abuse.
I don't want to see mine.
I didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. I was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, we've been a lot of fights, been around a long time. I know. Yeah,
oh, when you fucking have a close.
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you. I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are you?
What am I supposed to do? Do this? I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby. You're such a baby. Grow the fuck up, Johnny. I did start a physical fight.
You did, so I had to fuck out of it.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You were admirable.
Good.
Take a minute to really think about what you just heard there. Quote, I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. I was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched. Imagine that was Mr. Depp saying that to Miss Heard on that recording.
He would be in jail.
Let's play one more, Camille. Get it? Oh shit, the joke was
Camille is a queen. She's a queen. Like,
this is so uncomfortable.
I'm sure she. Sure, she's great. Oh,
This audio is...
no, you're right.
I'm right. I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
I know. Thank you. wait. Go get it. Wait, you know what? That place be running your 15 and a half minutes to go run. Come on, go be a real fairy man who deals with shit the way that a man does. Go run to the next house. Every man does. Go run away.
Yo, she's such a narcissist.
This is
Like,
the
it's
real
crazy.
Miss Heard. The one in the audio recordings, not the one you saw in this courtroom. What you didn't hear on a single recording you heard in this case, and there were many played by both parties, is Mr. Depp ever admitting to hitting, punching, or kicking Miss Heard. You didn't hear it. It doesn't exist. It didn't happen. And despite the fact that Mr. Depp and Miss Heard are heard discussing many of the alleged incidents you've heard about at this trial, like Australia and the Bahamas, you never heard Miss Heard accuse Mr. Depp of sexual assault.
Their strongest claim.
Unlike Mr. Depp, who you heard admit to and own up to his past mistakes and his struggles, particularly with drugs and alcohol, Miss Heard will not admit that she has ever done anything wrong. But she cannot deny what you
She
heard on
can't.
these recordings.
She's a narcissist.
As much as Miss Heard and her lawyers have tried to make this case about Mr. Depp's language, it is Miss Heard that repeatedly admits to violence.
They did. They tried to make fetch happen, Camille. They did.
By April and May of 2016, Mr. Depp had reached his limit. His mother was dying. His finances were a mess. And when he showed up late to Miss Heard's 30th birthday party,
She
his
lost
meeting
her
with his
shit.
new business manager, Edward White, had gone late. Miss Heard, of course, was not understanding. She was furious. You heard from Mr. Depp, both in this courtroom and on audio recordings, that Miss Heard punched him that evening. He left with Travis McGivern, and the next morning you learned that someone had left feces on his bed.
There's the poop.
Miss Heard denies responsibility, but she admitted to the prank to Starling Jenkins. You heard him testify to that effect. For almost a month after that, they didn't see each other. And you heard from Mr. Depp that when his mother died on May 20th, 2016, he resolved to leave Miss Heard. He was done. And when Miss Heard learned that Mr. Depp was done, that she was really losing him, she went on the attack. She filed for divorce before Mr. Depp could. Then, as you heard from Mr. Depp's divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, Miss Heard sent a letter demanding financial support. And when her demands weren't met, Miss Heard struck a blow against Mr. Depp that was more damaging than any physical blow she had ever landed.
Other things I know about this
But she
woman
walked into
from the
court
Jet is that she
6 years
is
ago
definitely
today, on May
a
27th,
gold digger.
2016,
It's a good
to
argument.
get a
From-
domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp.
In the first
She did
picture I
so
saw
with
of them
paparazzi.
on the red carpet, I was like, I don't like this girl
The
first for
evidence
him.
presented at
And
this
that was
trial
great.
demonstrates that Miss Heard didn't just want a divorce. She wanted to ruin him. Miss Heard denied alerting TMZ to the
That's a good
TRO
argument.
filing in this courtroom. But you heard testimony from Morgan Tremaine that TMZ knew to go to the courthouse, knew what side of her face the alleged bruise was on, and that Miss Heard would
Hello,
pause
Lana. Welcome.
She would
Welcome,
pause.
welcome.
the paparazzi, who got the photos that ended up splashed across newspapers and magazines. Miss Heard testified that she did not personally give photographs of her apparent injuries to People magazine. But somehow, these pictures that she took and maintained on her devices ended up on the cover of People
Like,
magazine.
I used to be a photographer. I know how copyright works. When you take a picture, you are the copyright owner. When you take a video, you are the copyright owner. So I don't understand how she's like, I don't know how TMZ could be the one when I was doing videotape that. I don't know how they
In
did
the end,
it.
she walked away.
Legally, it's not possible. It's literally impossible to just own that. So
The ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
Just
The ACLU,
remind them about
they got less than $1 million from her.
pledge versus donate.
And the
Pledge
Children's
versus donate.
Hospital, they got $250,000.
oh yeah, the whole pledge versus no donate thing.
But that didn't stop Miss Heard from telling the world that
A
she
mess.
donated everything. Because remember, she wanted nothing. And she had donated everything. The word donated. And that didn't stop her from testifying under the penalty of perjury that she had donated it. Ms. Heard tried to tell you that pledge and donate mean the same thing. She claims she hasn't given the money because she was sued. But you've heard uncontested evidence that she had the money for 13 months prior to this lawsuit being commenced by Mr. Depp. She had all the money and had month after month after month to fulfill her pledge and actually donate the money. But she didn't.
Pledge versus pay.
She also told you that
We're
she
about to buy a
had
house and just be like, oh, I
because Mr.
pledged
Depp
it.
sued her.
It's gonna happen.
That's a blatant lie.
Hello.
It was Ms. Heard who fired the first shot after the divorce was finalized, when she sought to initiate an arbitration against Mr.
Elaine
Depp.
looks so
An
angry.
affirmation 3 months before the op-ed was even published,
Oh my
and
god.
6
A woman is
months
gonna take a vacation
before
after this.
Mr. Depp filed this lawsuit.
The timing's so helpful.
Not
Thank you
only
for a
does it
timeline.
contradict Ms. Heard's excuse for not making donations, it contradicts her narrative that she just wants to move on with her life,
Mm-hmm.
that she just wants Mr. Depp to leave her alone.
Mm-hmm.
Lies.
She just
That
wants
is
money.
Ms. Heard's narrative. Lies upon lies.
Same with Elon. All she wanted was money.
Lies upon lies.
Some
That
women
is
are
Miss
just
Heard's
really good
narrative.
at using people with that, but all
That's a
she
good
wanted was
line.
money. She never even liked him. It's just it came out in the tapes that she was just a placeholder. He was just a placeholder. I'm like, damn.
There actually were all kinds of accusations flying your way when you said all this, and then there was a divorce settlement. You got $7
We're
million.
professionals here too, Camille. We got you.
This is all
We know what it
money.
is.
But then you did something that twisted that
You
whole
didn't do
outlook. What did you do with that money?
$7 million in total was donated to. I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital
She
Los
didn't
Angeles.
do
ICLU is a human rights organization.
Sorry, ACLU is a prominent organization, nonprofit organization in the United States.
The fact that she
It's
said this with her whole chest.
and they work on behalf of marginalized communities.
Oh,
on
marginalized
legislative
communities.
reform.
Right.
And
Well, more power to you, because that's something that I've never
I
heard of.
wanted nothing.
I wanted nothing. I'm about to be a better actress.
Can you catch me?
She's like a really bad actress, by the way. Like it's embarrassing.
So let's talk about the giant
It's
lie
embarrassing.
at the heart of this case. Ms. Heard's claim that Mr. Depp is an abusive monster and that she is a public figure representing domestic abuse. At the start of this case, Mr. Chu and I told you that you were going to hear some disturbing and graphic tales of abuse from Ms. Heard. And they were designed to shock you and overwhelm
She
you,
was playing the role of a lifetime.
Yup.
which you have. We told you that this would be a performance, the role of her lifetime, as a heroic survivor of brutal abuse. When Mr. Depp brought this case for defamation, Ms. Heard went all in. She spun a story of shocking, overwhelming, brutal abuse. She came into this courtroom prepared to give the performance of her life, and she gave it. Ms.
That was
Heard-
on the bingo
Ms.
card.
Heard's acting coach, Christina Sexton, testified.
But
Ms. Heard has difficulty crying when she is acting. We saw it. Ms. Heard sobbing without tears,
Oh
while spinning elaborate, exaggerated, fantastical accounts of abuse,
my god. Ooh.
and everything going on in her mind almost a decade prior while enduring that abuse. It was a performance.
Mm-hmm.
She told you that what she thinks about, she told you what she thinks you need to hear to convict this man as a domestic abuser and a rapist. She wants you to believe that she was abused countless times.
But they don't make no sense. How your feet caught up
over the
and you
entire
walking in heels?
course of their
Y'all,
relationship.
it's a make it make sense thing, okay?
As Mr. Chu and I promised you, the evidence just does not bear that out.
Any person who's ever worn heels before would be like,
Mountains of evidence of abuse.
excuse?
Some of them
There
I've
are
seen
no
photo,
medical
but
records reflecting she sustained any injuries from the abuse she claims. Ms. Heard had medical professionals at her disposal.
True.
Dr. Kipper,
Mm.
Debbie Lloyd, her own nurse, Erin Galati. And yet, there's nothing.
no med records, no mountain of
Ms. Heard
evidence.
took pictures all the time.
It's lies.
Pictures of
Mountain
Mr.
of
Depp
lies.
sleeping.
I really want her to say not a mountain of evidence, just a mountain of lies. I will fall over.
I love
Pictures of
Emily D.
cocaine.
Baker. It's hilarious. I've been watching her coverage on
Pictures of
YouTube.
property damage.
She's a lawyer and an
Pictures of
ex-prosecutor.
pictures.
Her commentary is just so accurate, and I just
She was
love
photographed all
her
the time.
coverage.
Where are the pictures of the
Like,
horrific
Latu has
images
been
Ms.
like
Heard
a
described?
blessing in this trial.
Ms. Heard also took audio recordings of videos frequently. Where are the videos of Mr. Depp attacking her?
No, because for real.
Where are the audio recordings of Mr. Depp admitting to or apologizing for physical abuse? There are none. What Ms. Heard has, and what you've seen multiple times, is a video of Mr. Depp banging some cabinets around in the kitchen. A video that, based on the testimony you heard from Morgan Tremaine,
Was taken when?
former TMZ employee,
Was taken when?
Ms. Heard seems to have sold to TMZ
Oh.
right before she was disclosed in connection with her divorce from Mr. Depp.
Yo, Camille. Oh. Oh my God. A queen. A whole queen. This woman is
Ms. Heard
iconic.
can point to text messages where Mr. Depp is apologizing to her,
Oh my God.
but never for violence. Ms. Heard's counsel showed you Defendant's Exhibit 325, where Mr. Depp says sorry for, quote, my behavior. I'm a fucking savage. But this is not an apology for physical violence. It's an apology for the, quote, these heinous, slinging insults.
I like how she tied that
Mr. Depp
together.
is apologizing for the words he used.
I like that. I like how she tied that together.
Unlike Ms. Heard, who you heard apologizing for physical violence in multiple
Oof.
audio recordings, you have never heard that from Mr. Depp.
Good
She
argument.
is killing
Because he
this.
never used physical violence against Ms. Heard.
That's why they keep talking about the sexual violence headline, because that is their
Ms. Heard
strongest
told you
claim.
that Mr. Depp started abusing her right from the very beginning of her relationship, starting at the beginning of 2012. But she has repeatedly testified under oath differently to having spent a year of bliss with Mr. Depp before he ever laid a hand on her. And now, in this courtroom, she has suddenly erased an entire year of magic. She wants you to believe that instead of hitting her after a year of magic, Mr. Depp was hitting her immediately.
Yeah, you could tell Camille was raised on soap operas. Like,
repeatedly in the past, apparently never
la
happened.
novelas. You could
And
tell.
with the good times erased, Ms. Heard wants you to believe that she gave Mr. Depp a big knife that said, hasta la muerte, until death.
Thank you.
Who
The way
gives
you
an abuser
fucking
a knife
Aquarius.
like that?
And high and beat her.
It's to make it make sense, and some of the things don't make sense with this chick.
Ms. Heard admitted to you during this trial that Mr. Depp always wears big, chunky rings on every finger. According to her, he was wearing these rings when he'd slap her,
With the rings in full
hit
view.
her, punch her in the face.
And my thing about that is,
You have not seen a
I grew up watching the Rihanna Chris Brown thing.
serious
She got punched 3 times, and her face looked
if this was true. Now,
for weeks. But no,
Ms. Heard
Amber just
testified
has,
to an
like,
incident in March 2013
blush, and
when
it's
Mr. Depp
a bruise.
supposedly
Like,
hit her multiple times in the face while wearing rings.
do people think I'm like people?
And this is what
She
her
thinks
face
the public
looked
is
like
stupid.
afterwards.
This is what her face looked like afterwards. Also, the internet has pointed out that looks like an iPhone 4.
Ms. Heard testified to an incident in Russia. She claims Mr. Depp whacked her in the face and gave her a bloody nose. She didn't take pictures of her bloody nose, but her photograph was taken on that trip, and this is what she looks like.
She said Danish every single time. I don't know if anyone told the legal team it was Dutch, not Danish. And this is what it looks like. She's like, photo.
Yeah, literally, she
These
looked
photos
fine.
are powerful. And they've got time. And they don't need to show the rings. He's sitting there with his hand
Ms. Heard
up by
told
his
you that
face.
there was an
The
incident
Tracy
the night
said,
of the Met Gala in May 2014 when Mr. Depp supposedly whacked Ms. Heard in the face, leaving her with a red, discolored, and swollen nose that she felt was broken. Ms. Heard didn't show you any photographs of these alleged injuries.
Because it
The
didn't happen.
photographs were taken of her the following night, and there were no visible injuries to Ms. Heard's face.
this is absolutely the truth.
Seriously, she looked fine. How you
They
get
cannot
punched
play
with
testimony. I
rings?
saw that question I was going to pull up. They cannot play testimony. They can only play things admitted into evidence.
Ms. Heard testified that in January 2015, while she and Mr. Depp were in Tokyo, Mr. Depp knelt on her back so aggressively that she was concerned that bruises would be visible in her backless dress.
And my thing is, why would you
Here's Miss Heard in that
take
backless dress.
lies that are so easy to
Great
debunk
dress.
publicly? Like the whole James Corden thing, you can go watch the James Corden video. She looked fine, and she was acting normal, like just like telling a story about her life. Like
Miss Heard testified
she didn't look like nothing.
And it
She had
hurts.
2 black eyes.
Oh, and she's also apparently been caught
and
in
chunks of hair missing.
in court peeling her lips. That's like a habit that she has, and that's how she gets her cracked lip. But no, it's Johnny's fault.
And Mr. Depp had broken the bed frame.
Because we're stupid over
Pictures
here.
were taken of that bed frame.
Nice.
And in that picture, there appears to be a pocket knife on the bed.
Oh,
And that picture fails to capture the bloody pillows.
for real. For real.
Oh yeah, have you ever heard like address this, address that? Their
And here's
team
what Miss Heard
can't
looked like
change.
on the James Corden show the next day.
The funny thing is that
They cannot
LawTube actually helped this
change
case a lot. Like if you've
their
been following the case on YouTube.
Closing now. They have a plan.
LawTube is basically the law community of YouTube, and they have actually helped the case. Like that whole knife on the pocket thing, that was Law and Lumber who
That she saw her
like
day
figured
or
out
two
because
afterwards.
he's a
She did
woodworker,
not
so he
visualize
was like,
the
you
injuries
can't
Miss Heard
break
described.
a piece of wood with a boot. So
That's what she
he like
Miss
showed
Heard
you like,
did
oh,
take
this is how you
pictures
break
herself
it,
after this
because he
alleged
noticed
incident.
the pocket knife on the bed.
But are
So,
the injuries reflected
LawTube
in
has
photographs
been
consistent?
amazing.
That's the question.
Amazing
That's
to this trial.
With the brutal assault and serious injuries Miss Heard has testified to? Or
That's what the
are
internet
these
says.
injuries
So,
more consistent with Mr. Depp's testimony that he and Miss Heard bumped heads while he was trying to restrain Miss Heard to keep her from attacking him?
2 hours total for each side. They have to break it up appropriately.
Out of Australia, where Mr. Depp sustained the most serious injury from his relationship with Miss Heard, Miss Heard spun a story of horror. A 3-day ordeal with a drug-fueled Mr. Depp violently assaulting her, cutting his own finger off, dragging her through glass, and then bending her back over a counter and raping her with a whiskey bottle.
She's
She
not
claimed
shying
that she
away
had
from it.
bruises on her face, cuts all over her arms and feet, and was bleeding from her vagina from a sexual assault.
This is why you need a female attorney to deliver this closing.
Yep.
And what does Miss Heard
Camille.
say she did? She went upstairs, took some sleeping pills, and went to sleep.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, am I bleeding?
She took pictures of the mirrors her
From-
husband had written on and
We're going to the
using an
hospital.
amputated finger.
What in the world?
She took
What
no
in the world?
pictures of herself, her alleged injuries,
You sure
or the
did not.
property damage she testified to in this courtroom. When Malcolm Connolly, Jerry Judge, Dr. Kipper, and Nurse Debbie Lloyd arrived to extract Mr. Depp and get him medical treatment for his finger injury. You heard from Mr. Connolly, Dr. Kipper, and Ms. Lloyd. All of them testified they did not observe any injuries to Ms. Heard.
'Cause the
And no
girl's
one,
lying.
including Ms. Heard, testified that she sought medical treatment.
Because she
You
did
also
not
heard from
get
Ben
hurt.
King. He also saw Ms. Heard right after this alleged incident. He flew home with her to Los Angeles. He testified that Ms. Heard didn't want to leave. That she said, I can't leave. It will be the end if I leave.
That was powerful testimony.
He also testified that once they did leave for Los Angeles, Ms. Heard asked him if he ever got so mad he just lost it. When Ms. Heard arrived in Los Angeles, she saw Travis McGivern, who also testified he observed no injuries, and her personal nurse, Erin Filati, who documented no requests for medical treatment and no injuries in her nursing notes for Ms. Heard. You heard from Mr. Depp's sister, Christy, that she also saw Ms. Heard when she arrived back to Los Angeles and observed no injuries on Ms. Heard. Christy testified that when she told Ms. Heard her fighting with Mr. Depp was unsustainable, Ms. Heard responded that Christy should get off her cross, that Mr. Depp liked her feisty. Ms. Heard's testimony about what occurred in Australia just doesn't add up. That's because there was a monster in that house in Australia, but it wasn't Mr. Depp. It was Ms. Heard.
you, Camille.
Other than Ms. Heard's testimony, all the evidence you've seen in this trial shows that it was Ms. Heard who attacked and grievously wounded Mr. Depp when she threw a vodka bottle at him, severing his finger. Mr. Depp told Dr. Kipper that when Dr. Kipper arrived to treat Mr. Depp's finger. You've seen the pictures of the bar area in Australia with the broken vodka bottles on the ground and trails of blood drops on the floor and a bloody tissue on the floor. You've heard from Ben King that the tip of Mr. Depp's finger was found in the same bar area. And you heard from Dr. Gilbert that the injury to Mr. Depp's finger could have been caused exactly as he described. And interestingly, you heard from Christina Sexton that Ms. Heard told her that Mr. Depp injured his finger while swinging a bottle around. Not smashing a phone, as Ms. Heard surmised.
I love that they brought up the acting coach again.
A bottle around.
Her acting coach was my favorite because she
You
was
also
like,
heard from Ms. Sexton
she
that
has
Ms.
trouble
Heard first
crying,
told her about the
like
bottle ring in
acting
Australia.
crying, like the
Sexton
whole
was
time in
Ms.
court,
Heard's
like
home.
she couldn't shed a tear. It was so like,
The day before Ms. Sexton was scheduled to be deposed
Oh my God.
in this case. The evidence presented at this trial shows that this is not the only time that Ms. Heard disclosed a sexual assault at a convenient time for purposes of litigation she's involved in. The first time Ms. Heard claimed that Mr. Depp sexually assaulted her in the Bahamas in December 2015 was after Tara Roberts, the manager of Mr. Depp's island, submitted a sworn statement in the UK action describing the incident she testified to in this courtroom, where Ms. Heard chased Mr. Depp out of the house, was yelling and then pleading with Mr. Depp to stay while clawing at his hair and clothes, and left Mr. Depp with an injury to his face. That's the first time she disclosed it. After there was contrary evidence. Ms. Heard testified about another incident just 2 weeks after the events in Australia, where Mr. Depp supposedly attacked Ms. Heard and almost pushed her sister Whitney down the stairs.
I like that
Whitney
she's
is
going to
the
bring up
only
these
witness that you heard
contradictions.
from that backs up Ms. Heard's version of events.
ooh,
She's it. And the only
Even then.
witness other than Ms. Heard who claims to have seen Mr. Depp physically attack Ms. Heard. But just like Ms. Heard's version of the events in Australia, her
Incident by
testimony about the
incident.
staircase incident and that of her sister Whitney's just doesn't square up with the other evidence in this trial. Their testimony is contradicted by the testimony of Travis McGivern and Debbie Lloyd, who were there that night. Ms. Heard and Whitney testified that Mr. Depp threw a Red Bull can that hit or almost hit Ms. Lloyd. Ms. Lloyd testified that never happened.
The jury should just be listening. Like, they might
Mr.
write notes.
McGivern testified that it was Ms.
They might
Heard
just
who
listen
threw
if
a
they're
can at Mr.
captivated.
Depp. Ms. Heard testified that Whitney was between her and Mr. Depp when she punched him. Mr. McGivern testified that he was the one between Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp when Ms. Heard punched Mr. Depp.
They can, but it should be limited. And it
Ms. Heard testified that Mr. Depp was able to get his hands in her hair, rape her, and then hit her in the face with the cast he had on. But you heard from Ms. Lloyd and Dr. Colbert, Mr. Depp's medical doctor, who treated Mr. Depp's finger injury, that Mr. Depp's finger was in a delicate state. He had a pin in his finger, a skin graft, and a soft cast that immobilized Mr. Depp's two middle fingers. And tellingly, the only picture of an injury from this incident is of Mr. Depp with a shiner. And then we have May 21st, 2016. Ms. Heard testified that Mr. Depp threw a phone at her face, causing a visible injury. Ms. Heard has shown you pictures she claims to show this injury. But these photographs are not to be trusted. You heard from Mr. Newmeister.
Is she gonna talk about the metadata? Oh,
As presented in this case, these photos were stored in a photo editing application.
oh, edit it.
And these photos show signs of manipulation.
Oh, Camille, get it, girl.
These
I
two
love you so
photographs
much.
were taken at the exact
An
same
icon.
time and have the exact same file name. But they are visually different.
Oh, get it, Camille.
One shows significantly more redness on Ms. Heard's face than the other, which doesn't show any injury at all. Ms. Heard testified the difference is explained by turning on a light. But there is no way Ms. Heard could have taken a picture, turned on the light, and then taken another picture with every hair in the exact same place within the same second.
She got into the hairs.
Because it's true. Like
Moreover,
photography.
we've heard from multiple
I'm moving right
witnesses,
now and my hair is
including
moving, things are
Officer
moving. It's not going to be the same. It's
Officer Tyler
impossible.
and Officer William Gatlin, Isaac Baruch, Alejandro Romero, who saw Ms. Heard on or after May 21st and saw no injuries to her face before she showed up to that courthouse with a mark on May 27th. And the very next day after Ms. Heard walked into court with what appeared to be a bruise on her face to obtain a domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, Ms. Heard was photographed laughing with her best friend, fresh-faced, with no bruise on her face.
It was interesting seeing those photos saved for rebuttal, and there they are.
Oh.
I like that she said fresh-faced and not without makeup.
Ooh.
It's much harder for them to
The
argue.
mountain of evidence that Mr. Depp abused Ms. Heard is simply not there. What we have is a mountain of unproven allegations that are wild, over the top, and implausible.
Oh.
And you can't pick and choose which of these wild allegations to believe and which ones to disregard. You either believe all of it or none of it.
Oh, Camille.
Either Mr. Depp sexually assaulted Ms. Heard with a bottle in Australia, or Ms. Heard got up on that stand in front of all of you and made up that horrific tale of abuse. Either she's a victim of truly horrific abuse, or she is a woman who is willing to say absolutely anything.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh.
It is disturbing to think that Ms. Heard would make
She
up.
might as well just
horrific
say
tales of
white
abuse
woman
if she
tears
testified
just
in
then.
this courtroom.
Oh.
But this case doesn't come down to whether you believe Ms. Heard or you believe Mr. Depp. This case comes down to whether you believe Ms. Heard or you believe Mr. Depp, Christy Dombrowski, Sean Bett,
Oh.
Malcolm Connolly, Travis McGivern, Sterling Jenkins, Keenan Wyatt,
Smart.
Dr. Kipper, nurses Debbie Lloyd and Erin Filati, Terrell Roberts, Ben King, Kate James, Kate Moss,
Oh.
Holder,
Kate Moss
Morgan
back.
White, Morgan Tremaine,
Oh,
Officers Melissa Sines, Officers Tyler Haddon,
Smart.
Officer William
Smart.
Gatlin, and Beverly Leonard.
Oh.
What Ms. Heard testified to in this courtroom is the story of far too many women. But the overwhelming evidence and weight of that evidence
Shows that it's not her
shows
story.
that it's not her story.
Oh.
It's not
God,
Ms. Heard's
Camille.
story.
She said, I'm going to come. She's been
It was an act of profound cruelty.
destroying
not
this
just
girl,
Depp,
for lack
but
of
to
a
true
more
survivors of domestic
like-
abuse. For Ms.
for
Heard
lack of a
to hold
more
herself out as a
word.
public
Oh my
figure
God.
representing domestic abuse. It was false, it was defamatory, and it caused irreparable harm. And to talk more about that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague,
Ben Chu.
Ben Chu.
Mr. Chu.
And Mr. Chu,
Aha.
for all of our friends,
Ben.
Mr. Chu is going to be talking about the law now that they've talked about the
Oh,
facts.
okay.
Never have I ever had to switch microphones in the middle of a closing argument, and I'm thankful for it. I was always loud enough to be heard in the back, but I never had to do this on TV. Oh, Dennison is there in the front row. This court looks like a packed house today. Now, they have
Yeah,
argued
it is
the
a packed
facts.
house.
Ben Chu is going to argue the law. He's going to tell the jury how to walk through these jury instructions and match the facts. I'm so glad that Camille Vasquez included it feels uncomfortable to believe someone would lie about this. It doesn't feel good, and I think that's one of the things they had to address in this case,
Really
because
amazing.
it doesn't. Believing
Thank you, Camille.
that someone would
Logistics are
lie
our strong suit.
is tough. Logistics have been your strong suit, Ben Chu. You've
Also, I'm
been-
gonna link
Taking so
Emily
much
G.
time
Baker's
over
channel
very
on
good
the
several weeks
description
listening
because she's
to them,
amazing.
to his friends, to his family, and to so many others who have come forward
I like that they brought the facts
in this
first.
courtroom, some
And now the
from
law.
a very long distance, to tell you the truth, and to finally, after so many years, to correct the record. As Ms. Vasquez said, You have now come to know the real Amber Heard.
Facts.
Scary.
I mean, I'm telling y'all, I knew I didn't like that girl from the first picture I saw of her on the red carpet with him. I was like, I don't like her.
Many characters you've seen him play so wonderfully.
I didn't have a problem with Nora Ryder. I didn't have a problem with Kate Moss, but that girl, I was like, I don't like her. She seems like a gold digger. And look at us now.
You have heard that Mr. Depp came from humble, very difficult beginnings. You have heard from Mr. Depp's big sister, who's here in the courtroom today, Christy Dombrowski, who told you how Mr. Depp grew up in a deeply troubled household with a mother, Betty Sue, who was physically abusive and mentally cruel. As Ms. Dombrowski testified, one of the names that Betty Sue called Mr. Depp when he was a little boy was One Eye, because he had to wear an eye patch for some time. His mother used to hit his father and the kids, including young Mr. Depp. And when his mother got violent, Mr. Depp would retreat and find a place to hide. Sometimes he and his sister Christy would find a place to hide together. Mr. Depp never hit back. And like his father,
so we're gonna talk about Johnny's chart in a bit.
Or he retreated. Those are habits he returned to later.
Matter of fact, let me
When
lower
he found
this
himself in a
because this
relationship
is in,
with another.
and we will start talking about it now while we do this. But hello, everybody who's here. I know it's early, and you guys know I don't do early lives, but this is literally the last day of the trial. This trial has had me on a chokehold every freaking morning, and I'm not a morning person. If you've been on the channel with me for a long time, you know I'm not a morning person. Abby's not a morning person. I don't like mornings. I am a night person. So, yes. Hey Abby, just sent you an email. Hope you have a great day. I will definitely check my email in a bit. My emails have been like flooded. I have like over like 800 emails that I have to go through, so I will try to get to them as fast as possible. I'm gonna be sending out readings today, and we're also gonna do the weekly community oracle poll later on today. But this morning I was like, should we talk about Johnny's chart and what's happening? We should. So let's talk about it. Plus, I didn't get to continue my shadow astrology series, so I wanted to do that because shadow astrology is something that a lot of people don't really focus on, but I think it's super important to dive into, you know, the darker parts of your chart. And so it's something that it's really oh hello, I've been watching and didn't realize we were live. The coffee is really I need to get some coffee, but I'm just excited that the trial is just, I'm just excited that we are where we are today. And I also have a feeling that the jury's gonna come to an outcome faster than people think that they are. I mean, he already won in the court of public opinion. And Johnny and Amber, I would be surprised if she has a career after this. If she does, it will be from, you know, people who fell for the white woman tears, or people who are trying to connect her into feminism and all these kind of things that are just like, you know, women aren't always right, and we're not always good people. We're not collectively the best, okay? We're not I mean, generally speaking, you know, men have a really bad reputation when it comes to aggression, when it comes to abuse, when it comes to so many things. But when it comes to like, looking at us as a whole, we are not homogenous. We cannot be looked at as one thing. We have to look at us, at ourselves individually, and also as what we, you know, hold collectively as well. But we're not the same. Okay, we're not the same, because my ass would never go and even do something like this. Like, I am the type of person, if I would ever have to go through something like this, like, I would separate from, okay, we separate. I'm not gonna sit here and talk shit and all that stuff. That's in the past. Y'all know my Venus in Aquarius though, so you know. I don't got the time to be doing that. So personally speaking, it's just not who I am. But you know, there are some people who get off in doing this, and Amber's the type of person that she gets off in doing stuff like this. And this is why I'm not mad that she's getting called out for what it is, because she did this. She really, really did this. She really, really did this. Like, it's crazy to me, y'all. It's crazy to me that there's people defending her. It's crazy to me that there's so many articles like Vogue magazine, all these people talking about Me Too. If you believe Me Too, you gotta believe Amber.
So you can't object during.
What the hell does she have to do with Me Too?
It has to be something egregious, like misstating the testimony. He's saying misstates the testimony. This is argument. He's allowed to argue.
Listen, it's just, it makes no sense, and you will not catch me. You will not catch me believing none of this nonsense, because that's just not what we're gonna do. That's just not. We're not gonna do that. We're not doing that. I am a person who just really, really focuses in on my intuition, and my intuition told me a long time ago that this girl was specifically an energy vampire. We're gonna talk about both of their charts in a minute, because I think it's important to look at, you know, how they were relating to each other and why they were relating the way that they were relating, because there are certain things in their chart that will tell you why, you know, their energy is what their energy is. And we're going to look at that, because I think that is really, really, really important as well. So we are going to be talking about that. But I also think that it's important to look at, you know, this whole trial was a test of intuition. If you believe this girl, your whole entire third eye is blocked. I'm just gonna let you know right now. You're literally just falling into the politics of it. Like, oh, women. Okay, we're not always right. We're not always right. Just because we say things doesn't mean we're always right. Like, I've been sexually harassed many times before, and if I tell you these stories, they won't sound nothing like this. Like, the over exaggeration when Dr. Curry was like, she has like, she diagnosed her with like something over exaggeration. I was like, that's a fact. Because this girl's up here just doing literally the most, literally the absolute most. And she cannot hold a tear. She cannot, like, when I'm talking about something that's emotional to me, I will cry. If it gets to that point, I will cry. And that's with me even having my moon in Gemini. Like, it takes me a lot to break down that way. But if I get emotional about something, you best believe that if I'm emotionally connected to it, I'm gonna cry, because that's the emotion that's gonna come out. But when it comes to like this whole thing about, you have to believe all women because we need to stand up, and we need to do blah blah blah, and we need to do this and that, and because of this and because of that. Like, what does Amber being a woman have anything to do? That doesn't take away lying under oath. That doesn't take away the fact that she literally perjured herself many times in this trial, especially with that whole TMZ thing. Like, I really hope somebody takes her to court for that, because she really did perjure herself. This really, really did perjure herself. There were certain times that I was like, okay, there's certain stories that she was explaining that was like, okay, this seems like it's true. And then she over exaggerated. It was almost like she was relying on these stories to make certain things seem like what they weren't. And I'm like, do you not realize that we can see and we can feel and we can recognize when you're lying? Like, it's not hard to like recognize, like, oh, she lied, and she is lying real bad. It's just really crazy. But let's get into Johnny's chart, because we need to talk about this, and we're going to talk about, you know, his transits right now as well. So Johnny is a Gemini, okay? He's a Gemini sun, and right now we're in Gemini season. And the way that I'm looking at his chart, y'all, because the sun, like he's having his solar return right now. He's having his Saturn return right now because he has Saturn in Aquarius in retrograde in his 7th house. In his 7th house. Like, that tells me everything that I need to know about what's happening right now, why it's happening right now. Like, it tells me everything. Like,
and those people mean a lot to Mr. Depp.
Saturn? No. Okay, but we're going to talk about it. So he has a sun in Gemini, moon in Capricorn. Okay, so we can see why he repressed a lot of these things because his moon is in Capricorn. And when you have a moon in Capricorn, that is not the best placement to be. Why? Because you will repress your emotions. You will let people, especially people that you care about, like really just railroad you around, and really kind of push you around in this really toxic way. And it can be a really long lasting, like you're just sitting in that toxic situation, because you love someone. Okay, moon in Capricorn can be, oh wait, hold on. Let me not mess up this. Let me not mess this up.
It's in the description.
Mr. Depp's bad.
Chad's going past 200,000
is one of the greatest actors and movie stars of this generation. An iconic figure respected and liked throughout Hollywood and recognized and admired throughout the world. You heard evidence from Jack Wiggum, who's here today, Mr. Depp's agent, who explained that Mr. Depp, quote, was very well regarded and respected by peers in the artistic community, unquote.
Okay.
And you heard further testimony from Mr. Wiggum that Mr. Depp had a deal with Disney to play Captain Jack Sparrow in the 6th movie sequel of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
So he might be getting into damages and asking for money.
For $22.5 million. But as Mr. Wiggum explained,
I gotta get the wing
all of that changed.
right.
You just heard published her op-ed in December of 2018 in the Washington Post.
Okay.
Quoting from the
She good.
by Mr. Wiggum.
So Johnny has a moon in Capricorn. It makes him repress his emotions, and it definitely gives him a harder time processing his emotions. They need a lot of therapy when you're a moon in Capricorn. They need a lot of therapy. They need space to be able to express themselves. They tend to be a little bit tough on themselves as well emotionally. They tend to really, go through a lot of hurdles emotionally. And when it comes to them emotionally, like having a breakdown or crying or going through something, like it takes them a lot to even get there. Like they're not the types to just break down and have an emotional moment and stuff like that. Like it takes a lot for them to get to that point because they suppress it. They hold it in. Capricorns are very proud, right? Very proud signs. But in a moon, like being emotional is not our forte. This is why the moon and Capricorn don't mesh. It's not the easiest placement to have because of that, because they don't mesh. It's just really hard to navigate having a moon in Capricorn sometimes, and you need to really make sure that your self-care routine is on point, that you take care of yourself. You can definitely 1000%, make a lot of money having a moon in Capricorn. You could do a lot of things, but when it comes to tapping in emotionally and intuitively, where your gut or guts is telling you like, oh, this is wrong, but it's like the situation is like, you know what, but I love this person. You will kind of put yourself in the position where you might stay longer than you should. My sister is a Capricorn moon. Be gentle and definitely hold space for crying. And just give them hugs, show them care and affection in that way, because they need an outlet of self-expression, and a lot of the time life doesn't give it to them, and it's like instead they get poked at emotionally. It's like they get poked at to like, are you gonna break? Are you gonna break? Are you gonna break? Are you gonna break? And Capricorn is very like, I will stay in this line forever, like holding that in. And it's really, really important to just hold space for them, because y'all, it's not easy being a moon in Capricorn. But they can be very, very structured people. And if they work on their intuition, and they can make a lot of great intuitive money moves and money choices, and grounding choices, but it takes a lot to get there as well. So, it's a process. Hello, love. How are you on this beautiful morning? Listen, we don't do morning lives often. Maybe we'll start doing them more often. But because your girl is like, I'm getting ready because I have a ton of videos to film for you guys today, and we're doing a live later. So I'm like, let me just get up early, get ready. I'm still sending out readings. So I'm like, let me just get ready with y'all and talk about Johnny Depp and this trial. So continuing on, his Mercury is in Taurus in retrograde. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. His Mercury is in Taurus, not in retrograde, and Mercury right now is in Taurus in retrograde.
And by the way, Mr. White is not, never has been.
So when I tell you right now, like, Johnny is being very, very, very triggered. It is not for nothing. Like, what's happening right now is not like out of order or out of place. There's so much that's happening right now that is absolutely meant to happen. And the thing about a lot of this Taurus energy, because his Venus is also in Taurus, which is why he held on to this relationship as long as he did, it was because of that Venus in Taurus. You cannot say anything to me about it. There's no if and ends or buts and blah. He held on to this relationship as long as he did because of his Venus in Taurus. Because Venus and Taurus do not like letting go of people that they care about. And like just like release it. They don't like to do that. They'll stay for a really long time, and they can put up with a lot of shit. And sometimes when it's good, it's good. Like they'll really like be in it. But then when it starts getting bad, it's like, I don't want to have to let you go. Like, what the hell? Like it's really hurtful to them. His Mars is in Virgo. Okay, Mars in Virgo. Jupiter is in Aries. And where's Jupiter right now? Somebody know where Jupiter is right now?
But yes, there is a schedule. I hope those get shared on social media or somewhere.
Because it's an Aries. I'm telling you, this is Johnny's time. Like, it's his season. If you don't think there's going to be some blessings because it is a season, even though Mercury's in retrograde, I'm going to explain how Mercury in retrograde has been impacting him in a minute. But it's his season. It's Gemini season. He's getting that boost, that solar boost where all eyes are on him, where he is like, and his rising is in Leo. He's a Leo rising. He's in the Leo rising clubs.
Some of the most powerful.
He's in the Leo rising club with the rest of us. So he is getting a lot of eyes. He's getting a lot of eyes on him right now. And I'm just waiting for that Disney public apology. And the million alpacas, that I'm waiting for that. He needs to get that apology from Disney, because if you think you're gonna do Pirates of the Caribbean without the man who basically did the thing, you are crazy. You are absolutely bananas. So anyway, he has his Mars in Virgo. So Mars and Virgo, often Virgos, generally speaking, when it comes to love and relationships, they will try to fix you. They will try to heal you. They would try to they literally just try to take care. Like even if you're wrong, they see the best in you, and they're like, oh no, if you just correct these things, you could be such a great person, but you just need to correct these things. And sometimes that gets them caught up in very toxic relationships because they just get used and abused, and they just end up seeing the best of a person but never seeing that manifestation of that person. So it can be really, really rough for them. So with his Jupiter in Aries, there's a lot of things, because Jupiter is in Aries right now, and because his Jupiter is in Aries, a lot of opportunity. He's going to be blessed down the line. He'll be fine. Like coming out of this with his career, he'll be fine. I'm not worried about Johnny and his career at all. He's already tied to Beetlejuice too. Like he's already in the cast with Tim Burton to do Beetlejuice too. He'll be fine. Jupiter and Aries moves very, very quickly. Their manifestations move very, very quickly. They get blessed as they go down in their journey, as they take steps in their journey. So when they make decisions like, oh, you know what, I'm going to start doing this, they'll find blessings along the way, but they just can't like close themselves off and box themselves in and disappear, because they won't, their doors won't open for them. But Aries and Gemini are road opener signs. Like, they're literally road opener signs. Gemini can access and open any door because they are the messenger, and Aries rules the journey. So they can pick whatever the journey they want to be in and, you know, open the door. So it's one of those things that is like, he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him. I'm really not worried about him, especially now that Jupiter's in Aries. He's gonna have that boost of Jupiter, just kind of like pushing him forward. Like once his trial is over and everything's decided, he's gonna feel very refreshed. This trial for him has been very healing as well, and I can tell just by looking at his chart. His Saturn is in Aquarius in retrograde. Okay, now this is when we're going to get to the past life thing. Now, obviously, I don't have Johnny here to give me consent to open his past lives. And even if I did, I would not do it on a live. That would be really, really weird. That is a one-on-one thing. When it comes to past life readings, that is like one-on-one, and you need the person's consent to even do anything. Like I would need to, have him here. However, I can tell that this whole thing is a past life issue just because of that Saturn in Aquarius retrograde that he has. When it comes to Saturn, because Saturn is the planet of restriction, time, karma, foundation, there is a focus on the way that time impacts you. Time in this lifetime and time in past lifetimes. This is also why his childhood impacts him so much when it comes to relationships. In his kind of like base with abuse and stuff like that. That's the other reason about it as well. But when it comes to Saturn, that retrograde tells me that in this lifetime, the relationships that he's had and is going to have with his partnerships are going to be very, very much mirroring some of his past lives. And it's something that he has to heal from. There's certain partners that are karmically tied to him. Now, Amber, I don't get the sense that she's like a soulmate or anything. I don't get the sense that she's that. I get the sense that there's a karmic trauma there. Like I get the feeling that there is a specific, like maybe they've had an issue before. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's like the way that it manifests is actually a little weird. And the way I'm going to explain this is by telling y'all a past life story, because why not? So I had read one of my clients' past lives that I read. I'm not going to say who it is because that would be, just breaking so many things. But she wanted to know, like, why she had such a chaotic relationship with her ex-girlfriend who was on and off. Like they were on and off and on and off and on and off. And she's like, oh my God, I just want her to work. Why doesn't it work? Like, I feel like she's always lying to me. I can't trust her. Like, why doesn't it work? And when I opened the past life, it had nothing to do with love. They had a karmic connection because she ate her in a past life. Like, she was a cannibal with her father, and they like tricked her into the woods, and they ate her. Like, they were cannibals. Like, they ate her. And so because that was technically blood magic, because when you eat somebody, that's blood. So that was technically blood magic. So there was a karmic tie to her. And in a couple of lifetimes that she had with her, she kept trying to kill her. Like, her the other person kept trying to kill her. And it was because they have this specific lifetime where she betrayed her, and every single lifetime she betrayed her, she lies to her, and they don't end up working because, again, there's a lack of trust there. And so she after she healed it, we did the healing meditation for the past lives. She was literally taken out of her life. Because once you heal that past life, you stop repeating the cycle. This is why past life work is my favorite form of energy healing, because you're healing at a soul level. You're not just healing at a like, oh, I'm healing the body. You're healing with Reiki. You're healing with things like, it's specifically you're healing at a soul level, and you can only do that through the Akashic Records, or through different ceremonies that tap into the records at times. Quick question: if your tarot Akashic Record readings are going to be available soon, I'd love to book. They're already available on my website. So the link will be down below if you would like to book. But yeah, they're already available on my website. Oh, this is a great time to remind you guys that I am teaching the Akashic Records 5-hour intensive course in June, and I believe at the end of August. Those are the dates that I'm doing next, and I'm really excited about it. And I am also doing a 3 months spiritual counseling sessions now. I do 3 weeks spiritual. I do single one spiritual counseling session, 3 weeks and now 3 months, because Spirit told me that. Spirit literally told me like people need this, so I was like, okay. And I've already gotten a ton of consultations and like people wanting to do the 3 months and stuff like that. And I can see why like people need it, because there's specific things that people want to work on, and so it's a great because it's almost like a mentorship as well. Like I'm counseling you guys, but it's also like a mentorship. So we do like spell work. I assist you with different things. Like there's so many things. Like I can pull up my website and even break down real quick what that entails, and we'll talk about the 5-hour intensive. But I highly recommend doing the 5-hour intensive if you're trying to learn how to read the Akashic Records in a very like safe space, and breaking down all the things that you can do in the library, all of the things. Like it's super important. Try to just get this arch right. There we go. Right. Okay, so let's do the Akashic Records first. So with the 5-hour intensive,
this is what they have to do.
Okay. So what you can expect: accessing the Akashic Records, past life retrieval, how to read a past life, how to heal a past life, reviewing your soul contract, understanding your purpose in your bloodline, ancestral healing, understanding your current lifetime through the records, understanding the future through the records, understanding karma, trauma, and its impacts on our souls, using the library for research, using the library for healing, and using the library to connect to your guides and more. Like it's a lot. And it's one of my favorite classes to teach. Is a 5-hour intensive. So we go through this like meditations in there, and I guide you through in how to read the records, which I think again is one of my favorite. Like I'm going to be teaching more different types of courses and stuff, but the Akashic Records is going to always be one of my favorites, because I feel like it's just the best. It's just one of my favorite ways to heal. And sometimes it's like the only way that you can get an answer to certain things that you need to heal as well. So that is the Akashic Records. Now for the spiritual counseling, I'm just going to tell you guys what we're doing for the spiritual counseling, because love the 3 month spiritual counseling. For the 3 month spiritual counseling, you guys are so 3 month spiritual counseling, 1 hour weekly phone sessions, which will be 15-16 total, so that's like 3 months. Life coaching, weekly journal prompts, monthly 30-minute tarot reading, monthly 30-minute Akashic Records reading. So you would get a past life reading for the like each month of the 3 months. And a tarot reading each month of the 3 months. 3 month astrology transits, list of dates for best spell work, spell prep guidance, 1-on-1 video call spell guidance for spell done during the 3 month period. That's optional. So if you want me to like help you or be present and assist you or guide you with certain things, we could do a whole like video thing, so we could set that up. Weekly meditation exercises, ancestor work, spiritual insights from your spirit guides, intuitive messages, and self-care reevaluation. So we go through a lot of things, and I'm just really excited about it. I also have like the 3 weeks and the one session, but it's something that I feel like is super important, and something that I'm just really excited to like work one-on-one with everybody. So yeah, so you can check that out on my website. The link will be down below. But thank you for the question. But yeah, all my services are on my website. So next. So with his Saturn and Aquarius in retrograde, there's definitely a lot about, you know, his relationships, but because it's an Aquarius, there's an element of this futuristic kind of vibe to it. And if you actually see the way that his relationships like publicly were back like in the 90s, you can kind of get a little bit of a taste of it, because it always felt like he was definitely not traditional. He was a little bit more edgy within his relationships. He always kind of like had like Johnny always had like this bad boy kind of style kind of thing to him, but he never really seemed very traditional. And you can tell about that with, you know, his previous partner before, you know, Amber, how he was with her for like over, I think it was like 12 years or something like that, and they never got married. So it was like he was very like a non-traditional kind of thing with it. But because of the retrograde, it's definitely a past life issue. And it's definitely mirroring traumas and issues that he's had in this lifetime. This is why his childhood comes up a lot within the trial when it comes to abuse and his trauma that he's experienced. So I'm 1000% not surprised about that. He is going through his Saturn return because he's 58 years old. So he's like from 58 to 60, he's going through his Saturn return. Saturn comes into, you get your Saturn return every 30 years. So basically, because he's about to be 60 years old, he is in his Saturn return right now. And so Saturn is going to be grounding him a lot more during this time. His finances are definitely going to change, but because of that Aquarian energy, Aquarius rules society, the collective, social media, technology. He is definitely not only getting vindicated through social media, but he's also like, there's an aspect of how he's going to meet his next person. It's definitely going to be something maybe like, again, non-traditional, like maybe it's through a movie. It could be something from, it could be, I don't know, it could be someone from like, oh my God, let it not be Camille. I just realized that because 7th house is also the house of justice and the law. Let it not be Camille. That would just, I mean, they would be cute, but I think Camille needs to do her thing. And she already said no, but I don't know. I caught a little vibe in that video. I don't know if y'all seen that video on TikTok, but I definitely caught a little vibe there. But Saturn in Aquarius in retrograde in your 7th house. It's a more of a futuristic love. His partner might be younger than him. I'm not surprised that Amber was younger than him. I do feel like this relationship, though, is something that he needed to heal from. And this could be the next jumping point into the next kind of level of his relationships. He has to get comfortable with, like, he has to get comfortable with kind of getting back there. I heard a rumor that he has a Russian girlfriend or something like that. On TikTok because somebody was talking about it. So if that's true, then he's already taken, but he's definitely someone that perceives relationships a little bit more within, like, it's just a little bit more futuristic because his 7th house is also in Aquarius. I have a 7th house in Aquarius. We like 7th house in Aquarius, more futuristic love, non-traditional, definitely needing someone who is evolving, someone who is evolutionary, you know, there could be a little bit of chaos, but not like toxic chaos. Someone who maybe he met through a friend or maybe he met through technology. I doubt he's obviously doing some sort of like Tinder or something. I highly doubt Johnny is doing any of that. But when it comes to him and his relationship is a more futuristic tone. That's why he never got like that traditional wedding with the thing. Like it didn't look like that because that's not really his style. He has a more futuristic style. He goes with his own flow. But his marriages will always be very publicized because of that Aquarius energy. Aquarius, sister sign to Leo, very much in the public eye. But I do think he's going to try to keep, if he is in one, I think he's going to try to keep that private. And just, you know, try to keep things, you know. I think he learned a lot of lessons from this relationship. I don't know if he's ever dated a narcissist before prior to Amber, but he's definitely dated one now. So now it's like he learned a lot of lessons. He's healing right now as well. Through this like Saturn return that he's having. Uranus for him is in Virgo. Neptune and Uranus are in Virgo for him. Neptune being in retrograde. He needs actually a lot of spiritual healing as well. And this is why, Johnny, if you watch this, get a past life reading. Get some sort of healing because you're going to need it. And make sure you get therapy because like a lot of therapy because I feel like he's going to need it throughout his life. Uranus in Virgo And
well, we're gonna get to some questions.
the fact that Uranus is in Virgo for him,
but I absolutely felt that.
And he unexpectedly like lost his finger, like lost the tip of his finger. I am not surprised because Uranus is also the planet of chaos and unexpected change. And when it comes to his body and his health, she impacted him in like the way their relationship was. It was very like chaotic out of the blue. So I'm not surprised that she triggered him in this way, and that, you know, he's going through like a whole healing process. We're gonna talk about his houses in a minute, but I'm not surprised. I'm just not surprised at all about the way that this is coming up. But he's gonna need a lot of healing. He's gonna need a lot of therapy after this, and I think the trial itself is very healing. Saturn is not the type of planet to teach you a lesson without purpose. You know, like sometimes if you fight the lesson, you will never learn. That's the thing about Saturn. If you fight the lesson, you will never learn. But when it comes to Saturn will be the one that is like, there's a reason why you have to go through this. Pay attention to why you have to go through this, so you don't have to go through it again. Simple as that. And that process of understanding that can be very healing if you let it be healing. But if you don't let it be healing, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be in pain. It's gonna feel like it's just so much. It's gonna feel like it's just, and that is why. But with Uranus and Neptune and Virgo retrograde, that's definitely a lot of healing. There's also a lot of ancestral healing that he's gonna have to go through, because Virgo's an earth sign ruling the body. There could be things that got passed down to him through his family. So generational trauma, generational issues that he has to resolve as well. So he needs a lot of healing. And Pluto in Virgo. No, I'm sorry. I read it wrong. His Neptune is in Scorpio in retrograde. So still everything that I just said with a deepening of emotions. And that's triggering to his moon in Capricorn, because Neptune is connected to the ocean and the water. And his moon is not. It's not one to specifically dive into the water. It likes to stay grounded. So there's like that Neptune saying, hey, look deeper to the truth, look deep. And the fact that, again, that's a retrograde, Neptune and Scorpio retrograde, that speaks to truth, revelations, that speaks to hindsight being like 2020, because it's a retrograde. And still a lot of spiritual healing, a lot of ancestral work. Scorpio still rules death and transformation, but the past ultimately will be healing for him, and he should still get a past life reading. Pluto for him is in Virgo, and it's in retrograde. So Pluto in Virgo is definitely a lot of healing, but it's definitely, there's certain things that will mirror. There's certain transformations that will mirror into your body, and certain things that will end up manifesting physically. But it will impact, again, your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health. And it's so many different levels of healing that you get transformed through. Having that it requires you to like dive in really deep into your healing. He needs to do a lot of healing in this lifetime. I don't know what this practice looks like, but Pluto. Oh wait, no, sorry, I keep reading it wrong. Pluto for him is not in retrograde, but right now Pluto in Capricorn is in retrograde, which is impacting his moon. That is sitting in his moon. I keep looking at like his natal, his transit. I keep looking at it wrong, but his Pluto is in Virgo. It's not in retrograde. His Neptune is in retrograde. So he has two retrogrades, Saturn and Neptune, which impact not only spiritual but relationships. And then right now, there's a Pluto retrograde and a Mercury retrograde. And, let's talk about Uranus and Taurus and all of the things. So his first house is in Leo. So he's a Leo rising. So he's definitely seen as someone, like, he's definitely catches people's eye. He's definitely someone who's like attention grabbing. He's someone who's aesthetically pleasing. Leo risings tend to be aesthetically pleasing people. Generally, like Hold on. Let me just do the bottom lashes real quick so I can finish my makeup so we could keep talking about this. Cause if the bottom lashes aren't done right, it's not gonna look cute. Okay. Okay. Sweet. So we pretty much finished my makeup. I gotta put a lipstick on. So right now, houses. He's a Leo rising. His second house is a Virgo. Third house is in Libra. Fourth house is in Scorpio. Fifth house is in Sagittarius. Me and him share that, which is great. We have a lot of fun traveling. His sixth house is in Capricorn. So he's definitely, and his moon, that means that his moon is in his sixth house. And so having your moon in the sixth house of healing, again, he needs a lot of therapy, y'all. Like, Johnny needs a lot of therapy. He needs a lot of love. He needs a lot of tender love and care. He needs to really focus in on his health, especially as he gets older. He might have certain health issues. If he doesn't, take care of his body, he really needs to make sure he's good there. But he's also someone who's going to be naturally a little bit of a healer, having your sixth house in Virgo, having your sixth house in Capricorn, and your moon in Capricorn in the house of healing and serving others. Like, he's the person who tries to help. He's the person who tries to fix people. He's the person that feels like, hey, if I can help, I'm going to help you. Hey, if I can do this, I'm going to help you. And this actually was shown too, because in the way that they were talking about, like, how he's like donates and helps, and like, oh, if he sees something or he'll like give money if he has to. If he kept all her freeloading friends in his house for free. Like, you cannot say that Johnny is not like generous. You really can't. Like, you really can't say that he's not generous, because he really, really is. And so he's very much like Capricorn. Is like, whatever I can do to make you happy, like, we'll do. Whatever you need, sure. Like, we try, when we care about someone, we try to remove obstacles in your path, in your way. Like, we just try to help you. We just try to, like, whatever you need, babe, whatever you need. So that sixth house in Capricorn and his moon being in Capricorn definitely lends for him to get very, very much taken advantage of. This is why I say Amber is a gold digger. Like, she's straight up a gold digger. And she took advantage of him and his kindness and his generosity, as all of them kind of spoke about. His seventh house is in Aquarius. And he has Saturn in Aquarius. His eighth house is in Pisces. Okay. So let's talk about that eighth house in Pisces. Now, when it comes to, I was about to go up here for some reason. This is a lip liner. When it comes to having an eighth house in Pisces, is because the eighth house is all about inheritances, the money that you have collectively with a partner, death, transformation, inheritances from ancestors, from parents, from family. In Pisces, he could have had an ancestor who is also very creative or very artsy, whether it be through music or certain something that handed down some gifts to him as well, which is why he's very multifaceted when it comes to his own creative style. He's not just an actor, he's also a musician, and he's done other things as well. So he's not just one thing. So when it comes to how he transformed, how he goes through his process, it is through Piscean energy. Piscean energy is an ebb and flow. Piscean energy is very creative. I wouldn't be surprised if he releases some album about this whole entire shebang. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a movie or writes a character about his experience. Or even like one of his roles ends up being this very much like transformative experience that helps to heal him as well. But there's definitely a spiritual component and a creative component to the way that he makes his money. And obviously we can see that because homeboy is an actor. Homeboy is an actor. So there's a lot going on there. There's literally a lot going on when it comes to his creativity and the way that things are expressed for him. And so having that like 8th house in Pisces gives him a really, really nice expressive energy in the way that he will inherit, the way that like there are certain things that will always be very nuanced with him. There are certain things that won't always make, won't always be clear to other people why he behaves or why he goes through certain cycles. His Chiron is also in Pisces, so he goes through a lot of, his transformation. It comes from relationships and the way that he relates to others. That moment where he was looking at the screen and Kate Moss was testifying, I feel like was very healing for him. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but that was really healing. I don't know if anybody else caught that though, but I feel like that was something that was really healing. He just like smiled at the way he just smiled at the screen. I was like, that's a moment right there. Oh. Also the way that his exes have stood up for him have been also very healing and validating to him as well. But with Pisces energy, there's always this mysteriousness, and you can see that with also his like expression. There's always this mysteriousness. You're never really gonna know or see how he, there's definitely a problem with substances there. Okay, that has to be said. Pisces rules substances. Okay, death and transformation through substances. Like he might be in the process of getting clean now. He might be, going through his own cycles and stuff. But substances, y'all. That is definitely in the 8th house. There's definitely a relationship to substances, and the way that they transform him or put him in a different mood. He goes through the reason why he relates so much to it is because of this 8th house in Pisces as well. So do not dismiss that. His 9th house is in Aries. He loves traveling. I'm not surprised about that. I feel that as well because I love traveling as well. But he has that Aries in the 9th house. Homeboy will take a vacation after this trial. Homeboy will take a vacation after this trial. I promise you. I promise you. He's going to take a vacation after this. And his 10th house is in Taurus. And right now, where's the moon? The moon is in Taurus. Y'all, I'm telling you, today is a very, very significant day. And he might actually go through a lot of... he is going to go... I'm trying not to mess up like that. Hold on. He's going to go through a lot of emotional turmoil today because Uranus is in Taurus, y'all, which means that all of his Uranus energy, the way that Uranus is transiting, is just breaking things apart, is creating a little bit of chaos, is bringing things up out of the blue. I'm pretty sure that the way that LawTube and all of these all of the like social media have been helping the trial, because they have been. There's so many discoveries that have been done on TikTok, on YouTube, that ended up in the trial. Like, it's been crazy. And it's because of the public trial, so they've been able to call certain things out and bring that to the trial. And people have been emailing and like, hey, did you notice this? Did you see this? Did you notice that she said this and blah blah blah? And did you see this video and that? Like, yeah, Okay. And makeup is done. Makeup is done, y'all. Makeup is done. Okay. I gotta do this. His 10th house is in Taurus. It's another placement that we share. So 10th house in Taurus is very, very grounded career-wise. This is why I'm telling you, homeboy is not going to, his career will be fine. He will be fine. If anything, the fact that Uranus is a Taurus right now is going to restructure his career, and it's going to kind of shake things up. But that futuristic element of like Uranus being transiting through Taurus right now is going to just bring him back. He's going to come back as a better version of himself into like his career, into like into what he's been doing this whole time. He's going to come back as like 10 million times better version of himself, acting wise. He's just, trust me, just trust me. You're going to be able to see that in the movies and stuff like that. And because Taurus is a fixed sign, y'all, this needs to be said. Taurus is a fixed sign. Taurus, when it wants to do something, when it is grounded in something, that's what it is. If he loves acting, that's what he's going to do. If he loves music, that's what he's going to do. If he loves traveling, that's what he's going to do. He's not going to stop doing this. I know that he said he's not going to go back to Disney and all that stuff. I highly doubt that he won't. I think it might be like, it might take a couple months or so, or maybe a bit after the trial where he can kind of like settle through. But he'll be back. He'll be back. Y'all, he'll be back. He'll be back. I'm not worried about him. Why? Because of that Taurus energy. When you love something, he loves Jack Sparrow. He loves that character. He created that whole entire like the everything. He like did so much to that character. Even his relationship with Tim Burton is still going to be strong and founded. And he's already going to be in Beetlejuice too. So this is why I'm like, he will be fine. Like there's nothing career-wise, legacy-wise, he will have that foundation as an established, as Johnny Depp, as who he is. Like this whole entire trial thing is like a little bit of a blip into his career long term. Like he's gonna be one of these old actors, you know, those actors that they always get to play the older roles, like the Alfred in Batman, and like the Gandalf in Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. He's like one of those. He's gonna be one of those when he gets older. He's still gonna be acting throughout his life. Like he'll be fine. He has an established career. 10,000 Taurus, you'll be fine. You'll be comfortable. You'll be happy. You'll find your pleasure. You'll get to do works that you want to do. He will be fine. This is why I'm like, I'm not worried about his career at all. It's just there's no need for me to be like worried about it. His 10th house. Sorry, y'all. His 10th house is in Gemini. This is where his sun is. Okay, in the 11th house, in the house of society, the house of social media, the house of technology. I'm not surprised why. Well, first of all, he really needed to fight for a public trial, like visually, like for it to be televised. This was a great thing for him, and his ego is sitting in there. Like ego-wise, he's like, I can see, you guys can see the shit I've been through now. Him being a Gemini, this is liberation. This is like a weight off his shoulders because it's sitting in his 11th house. And this placement is really, really fun communication-wise because even though Johnny is not often like, you know, he's not always talking to the public, but when he does, like he has a relation. The way he relates to the public is very fluid, and that's because Geminis have an ease with words. And when you have 11th house of Geminis, you have an ease with words. I have my 11th house of Gemini. I share a lot of placements with Johnny, actually. I have my 11th house of Gemini, and this is why a lot of people say that I explain things really like easily for them to understand, is because I have a moon. My moon is a Gemini in the 11th house. His sun is a Gemini in his 11th house. So there is that ego, his whole entire willpower, his inner child sits in the way that he communicates to the public, but also the way that he's seen in the public as well. And so to him, the fact that he got called a woman beater, that shit hurt. It was like, I didn't do this shit. He was like being falsely accused or something. And it's like, that shit hurt. I don't want people to think of me this way. Like, accusing a Gemini of doing something that they didn't do, y'all, Not today. Not today. Not today, because a Gemini will also have receipts. That's the thing about Geminis. Geminis are also like, when they need to prove something, they will grab them facts real quick, because they are the messenger. They will grab them facts. And his 12th house is in Cancer, which definitely speaks to his relationship with his mother. And especially his emotional energy. He's definitely someone who's very nourishing. 12th house in Cancer, very nourishing, very like trying to take care of others, but he needs to make sure his spiritual practice is on point, because people like to feed off his energy. And this is why I'm not surprised that he caught people taking his money. Like, I'm not surprised. A lot of the things that I saw within this trial and like come out, the tea and all these receipts and stuff, I was like, I am not surprised. And then when I looked at his chart, I was like, please, like, please, not. Come on now. Okay, so So right now the sun is in Gemini. So again, like I said before, he's having that nice blessing from, you know, the sun. Okay, I had to do that so I can finish my makeup. He has that nice blessing from the sun being in Gemini. So, you know, he's definitely in a sweet spot of when it's your season, okay? When it's literally your birthday season, you get a boost of energy. You get a boost of vitality. You have a little bit more of an umph. And because it's Gemini season, even though, again, Mercury is in retrograde, because it's Gemini season, because it's Gemini he's having that little bit more of a boost. So he's definitely sitting a little bit more strongly. He's definitely like, even through this whole trial happens through, you know, Taurus season, basically. Taurus and like Aries season, basically. And it's interesting to me because Taurus season it's in his 10th house. It's in his 10th house. Right? And so when the sun was in Taurus, it was sitting in his 10th house of legacy, of career, of social status, right? The way, what did you amount to? What is your legacy? What have you done? Like the way that you are perceived of an accumulated amount of time. So the way that this trial is set up is very, very much like within his transits. Like just looking at his transits, I'm like, yep, this is why this is happening. And now that the sun moved into his 11th house, again, it's public perception. It's what do the public think? What do people believe me? Do people believe my truth? Am I believed? Like, you know, and he's sitting in that truth now. And that's the beautiful part about it, that I feel like he's able to really say, I spoke about it, I communicated, I presented everything, I did the thing, and this is where we're at. So again, sun is in Gemini, moon right now is in Taurus. And again, he has like Mercury and Venus in Taurus, okay? And his 10th house is in Taurus. There's a lot of things in Taurus. His emotions is in his house of legacy, while the sun for him, his solar return, is sitting in his 11th house. So there's a lot of public perception. There's a lot of like being invested, like really looking at the news, looking at social media, looking at like how people are taking this, talking to his lawyers, and really saying, you know, we're doing this. This is what we're doing. So it's very much in alignment. And that's what I really want you guys to understand about this. Mercury right now is in Taurus in retrograde. Retrogrades are a great time to look at what? The past. Retrogrades is a great time to reevaluate mentally the past. This is a great time to bring out receipts. This is a great time to call something out. This is a great time to say, hey, this is not right. This is not fair. This is not what we about to do. Okay. This is a great time to do these things. And so when it comes to that Mercury in Taurus retrograde, this is restructuring how he mentally perceives his career, how others mentally perceive his career. And that is the key. This retrograde has been so healing for him. And I'm really, 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 really happy for him as well. Venus is in Aries right now. And so again, this is going into this beautiful, beautiful relationship with Jupiter, because Jupiter is also in Aries. Mars is also in Aries right now. So we have Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in Aries. Okay. So when I tell you homeboy wants to go take a vacation after this, homeboy will be seen in his island later, okay? He will be fine. He's gonna definitely take a vacation after this. He's gonna need it. He's definitely going to just like that liberation, that like, you know when you're sitting on the beach and you're just like, and the ocean air and the water is just cleansing you and your energies is naturally healing. That might be the way that he heals, just by being in nature and by just spending time and just like relaxing. That might be the way that he personally heals himself after this, and it's well deserved. He definitely needs a break. But literally Venus, the planet of pleasure, love, pleasure, and money. He's about to take money and run. He's about to take some monies and he's about to run, okay, somewhere, because Jupiter, planet of abundance, planet of luck, planet of opportunity. Do not forget he has Jupiter in Aries. Like this is a really sweet time for him to make some money, and for him to, you know, do some traveling with some money, celebrate said money. We're gonna say it that way. Celebrate said money. Okay. Saturn is currently in Aquarius. So again, he's going through a Saturn return. And this is so next year he will definitely be in a different place. He'll be coming out of his Saturn return, and he would have been a lot more grounded. And he'll probably maybe even write a book or something. Especially because his 11th house is in Gemini. He might write a book, or my experience with, like, you know, DV with domestic violence, my experience with this, he might do something like that. He might, you know, tap into some other creative fields because his 8th house is in Pisces. So creativity, any aspect of creativity, like I always tell you guys, is ruled by Pisces. Pisces rules all forms of entertainment. Any form of entertainment that you can think of, it's ruled by Pisces energy. So he might tap into some other things and do certain things as well. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, I'm getting into predictions now, but I'm just saying, keep an eye out for that. Uranus is currently in Taurus, and Uranus, again, planet of unexpected change, chaos. There are certain things that came out in this trial that was very much like unexpected, like the whole TMC witness, like Amber's side did not expect that. We're going to talk about her chart in a second, and then we're going to sign off because we literally almost been here for 2 hours. But we're going to talk about Amber's chart. If you think we came on here today and we're not going to look at this anyway, so there's a lot of changes happening, restructuring happening. There is a upgrade happening within his legacy, because again, Uranus is in Taurus, and Taurus sits in his 10th house. There's a restructuring happening within his legacy, and he's definitely holding with it. Like, he's definitely taking control of his legacy. He's definitely like, you're not gonna speak ill on my name. Like, he's definitely like very much mindful of that and sitting in that energy, that unexpected change, that elevation, that upgrade that's happening, very much helping him publicly as well. Neptune is currently in Pisces. Okay. And so having Neptune in Pisces, y'all, where is Pisces again? Let's just go back to the chart. Where's Pisces again? What I said, the 8th house, the house of inheritances, the house of joint finances through marriage. The house that dictates how much you get legally, because it comes out of the 7th, after the 7th house. Anyway, we're just gonna leave it at that. And Pluto is in Capricorn in retrograde for him. So there's a lot, again, he's going through a lot of healing. He's going through a lot of emotional healing. Y'all, his moon is in Capricorn. He has Capricorn in the 6th house. His moon is in Capricorn in the 6th house. And Pluto is in Capricorn right now in retrograde. So for such a long time, for the next couple of years, it's going to be a lot, because Pluto takes a really long time to move from sign to sign. Years. It's the slowest out of all of them. It takes such a long time for Pluto to move from sign to sign. So he's going to be going through a lot of healing throughout his life. This is something that he definitely has PTSD. This is going to be, weighed on him for a long time, and he's going to definitely be more mindful with relationships moving on in the future. But years years. Oh my God. It's going to take him a long time to heal from this, but he will be going through a lot of different transformations. And I feel like as he gets older, he will definitely be someone who's either like healed himself and healed from a lot of things or still holding on to certain things. But I think that this retrograde has been very triggering to his own healing. Now let's talk about Amber, because we have to. Because we have to. Okay, so we don't have homegirl's time of birth. Okay, so we're just gonna look at the planetary positions. Now, because the moon technically is a Libra for her, because the whole day it would have been a Libra when you're looking at like that specific day. The moon moves every 2.5 days, so you have to look at like if it's like in the first day, it could be in the previous sign. If it's in the last day, it could be in the next sign over. But she's like right in that middle spot, in that sweet spot. So she does have her moon in Libra, but she is a Taurus. Okay, and the reason why it's the Venus in Taurus for me. Okay, so her sun is in Taurus, so she's a Taurus. This is why she's so stubborn. This is why she's trying to lie to the filth and just kind of like, nope, this is my truth. This is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to be stubborn, and you're not going to tell me I'm wrong. You're not going to tell me anything. I'm right, and you can't say shit to me. This is why she's like that. Sun in Taurus. Tauruses are amazingly beautiful people, but this, when it comes to shadow astrology and looking at how the energy can be expressed in a toxic way, first of all, Tauruses is a fixed sign. So they're the most stubborn out of all of the signs. Out of all of the signs, not just the earth signs, all of the signs, because they are a fixed sign. So when you know, Camille gets up on stage and it's like, you know, this, didn't you think and calling her out on her lies, or, oh, how did TMC get to that? Oh, I don't know. She will defend herself to the death, even if she's the one that's wrong. There's no reality in which she will ever admit that she did anything wrong. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. And if you ever expect it to happen, it's not going to happen, y'all. Just move on. It's not going to happen. Because of that Taurus energy. Taurus energy can be amazing for so many different things. And also financially as well. But that sun in Taurus, when it's expressed toxically, when the ego is corrupted, when the ego is like just very much like she's all smug and trying to like talk about, oh, you haven't seen me smirking and on during this trial, even though the day before she was just like literally sitting there like doing exactly what she said that she didn't do. That's that Taurus energy. That's that you're not going to see me like crying. This is also why she has such a hard time crying, by the way. Earth signs generally have a hard time crying. Let me see. First of all, she only has two things in water. That is her Jupiter, which is in Pisces. Which is in Pisces. Jupiter in Pisces. We're going to talk about that in a second. Jupiter in Pisces, okay? And she is, and she has her Pluto in Scorpio. Okay, she's part of the Pluto and Scorpio generation, and it is a retrograde, so we're going to talk about that in a second. But she don't got a lot of water in her chart. When you don't have a lot of water in your chart, you don't know how to express emotion a lot, okay? And I can definitely speak to this. You guys know I'm a Capricorn stellium. I am very heavy earth energy. I have a lot of earth energy. I have a lot of air. I have a couple, two planetary-wise, 2 water signs, like water placements within my chart. We're just gonna let that pass. We're just gonna let it pass. And I'm gonna pull some cards as well in a bit, in a second. That's gonna be like our closing arguments. Will be the tarot. Will be the cause. It will be our closing argument. But when it comes to Taurus energy, when it comes to Earth energy is not over emotional. Earth energy is not expressive in that way. That's not how we do things. Like I told you guys, it takes a lot for Earth signs to get really emotional, to cry, to feel, to do, because that's not our forte. That's not what we doing. We're not water. We're not water signs. water signs can literally break into crying mode like beasts. They can get emotional like beasts. Earth signs you will have to go some hours to like break us down in that to that place, because that's just not what we do. This is why she has such a hard time crying, because it's not what she is. Ego wise, her ego won't let her cry, and I'm gonna say that with my whole chest. Her ego won't let her cry because she's a Taurus. Tauruses themselves are really strong people. They're very strong. They're very willpower oriented. It takes a lot to break them down in that way. You would need way more water in that chart for her to have that crying that she needs to tap into. And honestly, if she tapped into her Jupiter and Pisces, she could cry a little bit better, but we're going to talk about how she taps into her Jupiter and Pisces in a second. Her moon is in Libra, so there's definitely a focus on her relationships, okay? So we already have two things that are ruled in Venus. Well, that plus her Venus is in Taurus, and this is why we have that connection to Johnny there, because Johnny's Venus is also in Taurus. Amber's Venus is also in Taurus, so they have that in common. And so even though, again, we don't have her time, so we don't know which, what house-wise, we're not going to look at her houses because we don't have her time. But her Venus being in Taurus is still significant to, how the energy is expressed and how she related to Johnny. And because Venus in Taurus Venus is ruled Taurus. That is one of his ruling signs. But Venus in Taurus specifically, they don't like to let go of relationships. This is why in those voice notes that you're hearing her say, oh, don't leave, just stay with me. Like, even though like having a whole toxic argument, she doesn't want him to leave, because that's something like Taurus is like, no, stay with me the whole time. Be with me the whole time. You need to there is a possessive aspect to that. I'm not surprised when there was jealousy on either part of them. I'm not surprised. But I'm also not surprised that he caught her like cheating because of her moon in Libra. Libras can go through relationships, even though they rule committed relationships, they can go through relationships like this. Because they're an air sign, y'all. They're an air sign. So they can go through relationships like this, especially a toxic Libra. I cannot stress this enough. A toxic Libra can go through relationships like this. They can in and out. And this is why when she called Elon Musk a placeholder, like this, they can go through relationships like that because they're an air sign. And if they're not looking for the commitment, they'll tap into the Venus part of their energy that's just looking for the pleasure. Okay, because you have to always look at the planetary ruler, how the planet expresses itself. There's different ways to tap into the planet's energy and the sign's energy in both positive, toxic, and in the middle ground, very balanced ways. There's ways to do both and not be toxic. But when you're leaning more towards the toxic, you tend to look at people as disposable. And she comes off to me, not allegedly, she comes off to me as a gold digger. She really does. She comes off to me, that's my personal opinion, as a gold digger. And that moon in Libra says everything that I feel about that. Because definitely a gold digger. Now, that Mercury in Aries, y'all, Mercury in Aries is not probably one of my least favorite astrological placements. If y'all want me to make a video on my least favorite astrological placements, I can, but I also don't want to make people feel bad for the placements that they have. And it's not that I'm trying to make you feel bad for the placement that you have or anything like that. It's just that Mercury in Aries doesn't communicate the way that others need communication to be had. And I'm going to explain. So Mercury, again, planet of communication, consciousness, the mind. Aries is the sign of the journey. It's a fire sign. Impatient. Okay, impatient. So what does that mean? It gets to the point very quickly. It snaps very quickly. It says what it needs to say very quickly. It is the sign that moves very like, okay, next, what's next? Let's go. It's very like this. It's also very combative. Aries is ruled by the planet of war, of passion, of action, of drive. So word-wise, her weapon of choice is her mouth, okay? It's her mouth. I mean, we know she's abusive, but it's also her mouth. Her weapon of choice is her mouth. And the problem with Mercury and Aries is that it's hard to have healthy communication with them sometimes because, and the best way that I can explain what I mean with this is that they can have a whole essay of what they want to say in their heads. Like you could be having a conversation with them, toxic Mercury and Aries or non-toxic Mercury and Aries. This is across the board of all Mercury and Aries. You could be having a conversation with the Mercury and Aries about or a debate or a discussion about something, and they can have a whole essay about what their thoughts, how they feel, what they feel about that situation, and then the way it comes out of their mouth will be in one sentence. They will summarize that shit down to one sentence. And to others who are having that communication with them, it can be frustrating because certain things need more words, certain things need more context, certain things need more. It needs more. And Aries is just like, what is it up? What is it up? That's it. Period. So what I said is very much I said what I said energy, but it's not like, hey, can we have a conversation about this? Da-da-da. Period. Next. Like that, it doesn't do well for having a balanced conversation with someone. And this is why I always tell people that when I read someone's natal chart, when I read their birth chart and I see they have Mercury and Aries, I'm always like, listen, try to be patient with other people when it comes to communication, because sometimes you're not going to fully be, other people are not going to understand how you mentally feel, like the whole entire thing, and they could make assumptions of what you're thinking because you're not expressing the whole thing. You're just summarizing it down to one sentence, and that can come off as very frustrating. It can come off as like, okay, but like, so is that how you feel? Like you don't, like, especially when you're a water sign, like when you're a little bit more water sign based, and you're gonna need more expression from a partner or a person or a friend, and that person has a Mercury and Aries, is like fighting with a wall because they don't want to express more than what they said. Like it's like very much I said what I said. Like that one sentence should explain all of my feelings and how I feel about everything, and that's it. And that's it. If you want to question it, it's because that's a you problem. And it's frustrating again for people who are trying to understand them. So that's how I feel about that Mercury and Aries personally. It's very combative. Now, having that Mercury and Taurus, her Mars is in Capricorn. Johnny's Capricorn energy is in his moon. Okay, his emotions in his 6th house of healing. So the fact that Mars for her, Mars, the planet of war, passion, action, drive, is in his 6th house of healing. Okay, just fighting it off with his emotional energy means that she will often overpower him emotionally. She will often railroad him emotionally, gaslight him emotionally, and ultimately, like Mars in Capricorn, beautiful placement. Oh my God, Mars loves being in Capricorn. Why? Because Capricorn is tactical. Okay, this is why I'm not surprised that certain evidence was not turned over. This is why I'm not surprised why they didn't turn over the metadata, and why they missed that deadline about the metadata, because they didn't want certain things to be like, oh look, but this was edited. Oh look, but even though it still came up in trial, but it was like Amber's side did not turn in all of Amber's like iCloud, like they didn't submit all of that information. They just submitted pictures, like, but they didn't submit the actual phone. They didn't submit the thing that they wanted them to submit. So that Mars in Capricorn, y'all, Mars in Capricorn is such a beautiful placement. Oh, love this placement. Mars in Capricorn is tactical. Mars, again, planet of war. I want you to think of a general, of an army, okay, and how the general's planning to attack, okay? Capricorn is the sign of putting in the work. Capricorn is the sign of, okay, what is the goal? How am I going to be able to win this war? Do I play the long game, the slow game? How many parties how many people do I have in this? Can I attack in multiple ways? Capricorn is the one that's going to come into that war. That general is going to come into that war having multiple unexpected angles and surprises, having multiple different things to attack the thing. This is why I'm not surprised about the TMC thing. This is why I'm not surprised about like the way that she's playing certain things off. This one I'm not surprised about, the whole calling the cops a second time after they trashed the apartment to make it seem like Johnny like came back and like was being abusive. Tactical. This girl, Amber's not stupid. She's not stupid. Okay. That Mars in Capricorn. Oh God. Tactical. This placement is so good for so many things, but it can be so evil and bad when it's misused. And again, shadow astrology, we're looking at the way that the energy can be used in a negative way. And she has used her Mars in Capricorn to absolutely do some of the most tactical things I've ever seen, especially being the face of the Me Too movement. Okay. All of the little things that she did was just chipping away at his legacy. All of the little things, it was just a tactical thing. It was like, oh, but you can't prove that I wrote that about him. Oh, but yeah, I wrote it about the time that I was coming out of the courthouse because I was coming out of my, like, out of the divorce. You were married to who? For how long? Oh. So who were you talking about then? You didn't do this to other relationships. Who were you talking about? It is very, like, it's tactical. I'm telling you, this girl is tactical. Mars in Capricorn, though, beautiful, beautiful placement. I'm telling you, Mars loves being in Capricorn, but it can definitely be used in really, really toxic ways. I'm going to just say that. Beautiful placements can often be used in very toxic ways. I will say that. Okay, so her Jupiter is in Pisces. What does Pisces rule if not lying? Y'all, what does Pisces rule if not lying? Like, Pisces literally rules illusions, delusions, okay? Spirituality, creativity. And it's interesting to me because she is not a good actress. Like, not a good. She's on my list of really bad actors. And right now on that list is like, it's two people. It's Ben Affleck, because I cannot stand that man. And that man cannot act. And it's Amber Heard, because she cannot act either. When I saw her in Aquaman, I was just like, it just felt like she was trying too hard in certain scenes, and I could tell where the whole chemistry during. I was like, the kissing scene was really awkward and stuff. I was just like, not for me. But no, Jupiter in Pisces can be great creatively. Can be great for different types of creativity, self-expression, even when it comes to writing, that article, the way that she, you know, they were talking about, keeping Johnny out and all that kind of, the way that it was very tactical about the way that it was written, is very illusionatory. It's very like, oh, you're delusional if you think this is about Johnny. Oh, but by the way, yeah, this is about that time when I, divorced a man who happened to be, Jupiter and Pisces. Jupiter and Pisces, again, great for different creative projects. She could have gone to do a lot of different creative things. I don't think acting is her forte, though, because homegirl can't even cry on command. But she's just not a good actor. She, even on the stand, the whole time she's been acting this whole time, and her ego has been coming out a lot. It's like she's been using her ego to act her way through some things, and it's just been kind of failing her as well. But Jupiter and Pisces, it's an abundance of lying. It can be an abundance of creativity. It can be an abundance of a lot of different things, but it's an expansion of her lies. One lie for her is like a wildfire of other lies. And you can see that in the trial, literally. And that's that Jupiter in Pisces. And she has Saturn, Uranus in retrograde, Neptune in retrograde, Pluto in retrograde. All of her generational planets are in retrograde. All of them are in retrograde. Now, Saturn in Sagittarius is not the easiest placement, and I'm just going to say right off the bat, Saturn doesn't like being in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius doesn't like to be grounded. Sagittarius likes to be on the go. The fire signs are very like, they like to be in motion. They like to be in movement. They don't like to be grounded. Saturn is a grounding planet. Saturn is like, I need to make sure that you're going to be able to feed yourself, like take care of yourself, have a roof over your head, be able to financially sustain yourself, and be okay in all of your relationships. I need you to be okay while I'm focusing on you. And this is what I need from you. I need you to be able to have the life necessities. Okay, when we're looking at life necessities, that's like Saturnian energy, because Saturn literally just wants everybody just be grounded. If something is not grounded, that's when it starts deteriorating. Okay, but Sagittarius doesn't like being grounded in that way. Sagittarius is very much all about travel and like experiencing things. Sagittarius can literally live their whole lives going from country to country if they wanted to. Like Sagittarius is either very focused on education, very focused on having fun and pleasure and again enjoyment, because they do tap into that Leo energy as well, of pleasure as well. Or Sagittarius is very much out here trying to like not be grounded. They like to be, maybe they'll be grounded in certain, like maybe they'll stay in a country for maybe a year or 6 years or something like that, and they'll leave to another one, but they won't be like ground. They don't like to be tied. They're a mutable sign. They go with the flow. They don't like to be tied down. So Saturn in Sag is like, it's a contradiction in itself. And this is why Saturn and Sag people tend to be a little bit like like they feel a little restricted about certain things that they can or cannot do. This is also why you see that Saturn in when it comes to generations, okay, when you the Saturn in Sag and the Uranus in Sag, what you calls it, generation, the people born under those things, they also had very rebellious from childhood up as well, but they also definitely had certain restrictions growing up when it came to their liberation and how they could, you know, do certain things. But they also have a really, really hard time with uplifting certain, you know, like just like the way that certain things got passed down to them from like the boomers, like the different generations and stuff like that, about like working 9 to 5 and have to working yourself to the bone and doing certain things. That restriction of society versus what they need, their own personal needs, is always contradicting itself with them. So it's not the easiest placement. Now the fact that it's in retrograde, homegirl has a lot of trauma that she doesn't know about. And Uranus is in Sagittarius in retrograde as well. There's a lot of things, a lot of trauma that she doesn't know about. Ooh, I gotta charge my Mac because it's about to die. Okay, how much battery we have left? We got 10%. So we're gonna close this off in a second. But yeah, no, she is definitely someone who's very, very restricted. And her traveling experiences are also necessarily not. She definitely has issues and triggers where she travels. If I were her, I would look at like my whatchamacallit. I'm saying it wrong. I'm literally saying it wrong in my head, and it just like I just blanked on it. Hold on. I would look at. It literally escaped my brain. The word escaped my brain. So we're just gonna move on. But I would just really, really focus about healing in certain lands. There's certain traumas that she has in certain lands around the world. There's certain issues that she has around certain lands around the world. There's certain times that certain things are triggering to her, not necessarily because of herself, but her experiences in the lands, like the spirits and stuff like that. She has some trauma there. Neptune in Capricorn, generational planet, so retrograde. A lot of ancestral trauma, a lot of family issues, a lot of different, a lot of things that need to be healed, a lot of things that got passed down to her, a lot of things that she needs to deal with. I don't know how spiritual she is, but I did catch Whitney sending the evil eye to Camille yesterday. Annoying. So I'm not surprised that her family is a little bit messy, because it's Two of Wands. I'm telling you, it's in the cards. And Pluto in Scorpio in retrograde. There's a lot of past life issues. That she personally, Two of Swords, that she personally is going to be experiencing in this lifetime. And pretty much all of her generational planets are retrograde, which means that she is being restricted by the past, and she doesn't even know how it's affecting her. She thinks she could just move forward by moving forward, but no. 9 of Pentacles, death. Oh my God. Okay. Hold on. This is the 6 of Wands in reverse. The King of Coins in reverse. and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. She is most definitely canceled. We're gonna have 2 more cards. She's most definitely canceled. She's most definitely, like, her career is done. Temperance in reverse. That's that Sagittarius energy in reverse. She is most definitely, like, and I don't believe in cancel culture, but Queen of Wands. She is most definitely, she's done. 7 of Cups, bottom of the deck, and the Lovers. 7 of Cups and the Lovers. Lovers is Gemini. That's Johnny. 7 of Cups. Johnny's going to have a lot of opportunities, a lot of options, a lot of things coming his way. She is not. She is not. All of the decks that I'm using, by the way, are going to be linked down below. My Mac is about to die, which means that StreamYard is going to end up closing. So we're going to finish this right now. What do we need to know about this trial for Johnny Depp and Amber Trump? Oh. You are good enough. Full moon in Virgo. Ooh, okay. You are good enough. Because Johnny is healing. He's been healing through this trial a lot. He's just been doing a lot of healing through this trial. Okay. Hold on. Adjustments are required. Adjustments are required. Ooh. Hold on. The answers you need are coming. Full moon in Gemini. And be bold to make the first move, cardinal moon. Yeah. Bottom of the deck, luck is on your side. New moon inside the Aries. Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure, I'm telling you, just like the way that his transits look, he is in a better position to win this case. And this is just on the spiritual side of it. He's in a better position to win this case. And even just looking at the cards, he's in a way better position to everything we talked about astrologically is coming up with the cards, especially with the Death card. He is going through a lot of transformation. He's going through a lot of healing. He's going through a lot of this. He's going through definitely an elevation and definitely a shift. Definitely a shift. But that Queen of Wands is him moving, him being able to move forward. But also, he's a Leo rising. Okay. Wands and fire signs. He's going to be able to move forward. He's going to be able to gratitude. He's also going to be very happy of all the support that he's gotten along the way. Free spirit. I'm telling you, he's going on vacation after this. He is going on vacation after this. Like, this is not up for debate. This is not up for nothing. Like, he's going on vacay, and he deserves it. He deserves that vacation. He deserves that, like, break. He deserves it. So I hope that he has a really, really good time with that as well. Messages. Wow, we have a lot of stuff. Cardinal. Accept your life's importance. Okay. Magical realms are opening. Pursue your quest. Spirits are strong around you. I do think that that you know, his spirits are definitely doing the thing. Promise and hope. Dreams and new joy within reach. I think he's gonna win this case. And I know that's like defamation is a hard thing to win, but I think he technically already won the court of public opinion with everything, but I think he's genuinely going to win this case. I think he's going to have a lot of work thrown him as well. He's definitely going to take a vacation. We're starting off with this. It is possible that homegirl's going to try to talk to him. I think she's been, I think she's been trying to do like, what's that thing when you have a conversation and you like, you make a deal and like I can't remember the word, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I think she's been trying to do that and it hasn't worked. But no, there's definitely, she's not gonna win. She lost everything. She lost everything for trying to be a smart ass and play that Mars and Capricorn could have been used way better. And no, she's done. She's done. Work wise, she's done. She's been blacklisted. Like she's done, y'all. She's done. And Temperance in reverse. Temperance, you see, I love that this one has the brain with the 2 hands. Like, logic. Remember everything I said about her Mercury and Aries? Logic. No. No, she's done. She's done. She's done. Anyway, I hope that y'all enjoyed this live. We talked about a lot of things. If you want to get a shot of astrology with me, the link will be down below for all of my services and all of the things. But yeah, I hope that you guys like these videos. Let me know if you like these videos in the comments. We'll do more get ready with me's and stuff like that. But I definitely wanted to do this because I wanted to talk about this trial, because it's not only been I feel like it's been healing to a lot of people, especially men who've been abused by women. It needs to be said. It happens, you know, it happens. This is not a rarity. It happens, and it needs to be talked about more. They need a lot of healing. The patriarchy needs a lot of healing, and they need to be able to hold space and say, hey, you know, I've been through this, without it being like, no, me too, only women. Like, that's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. As a healer, I can't say only women need to heal. I can't say that. Because it's just not true. Okay. We all need to heal from certain things. And I really pray that Amber heals. I doubt it, because her ego is very, very toxic. She's a very, very toxic person. I hope that she heals. I hope that Johnny heals. And I hope that his vacation is really nice and sweet. But he needs a past life reading. Boo, if whoever's on his team who's going to be looking at all these videos on the hashtag, get him a past life reading, please. He needs it. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. My computer's about to die because we've been in here for 2 hours. But thank you guys for being here with me. I hope you like the little chit chat situation vacation. And I will see you guys a little bit later, because we're doing our weekly community oracle poll. I'm about to do the live thing right now, so you guys can get the link and stuff. So Patreon members, stay tuned for that link and all that stuff. I gotta go make breakfast though, because I literally didn't even eat breakfast. I just jumped on here. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all the love and all the support. I really appreciate you guys. I will see y'all in the next one. Have a very blessed day. Bye.